Hello folks, welcome back to Aldea. In this episode, we're going to be expanding Aldea's industries. We have surplus fish, plastics, and petroleum to put to use in specialized factories. We'll be using the transfer manager to carefully control what raw materials and products are going where. So come join me as we grow Aldea's industries. So what I'm looking at for a new industry is to make the most of the fishing harbors that we recently set up in the last couple episodes here in Alderside. We have fish, and we've got a little bit of an oil industry here, although I really haven't maximized it in any kind of way. And this opens up some real possibilities for us in terms of additional unique factories. Since we now have a source of fish, and we do have plastics, it's this one. The seafood factory, which requires fish and plastics, is something we can now add to our city. So I'm going to go ahead and place one of these, and I think that's the dock that makes the most sense, because it actually it doesn't quite fit on that one, but it does fit over here. Do I want it on the end of the wharf, or I think I kind of do, but I don't want it to overlap, so I think we'll plop it and then we'll move it to put it into place there at the end and keep that space up front for something else. So I'm going to pause this actually. So that would be the seafood factory. The other thing we can make use of, since we are going to be using plastics, is to actually add the plastic industry, which, just oversight, I haven't happened to do yet. And so that would be this household plastic factory that takes the oil, petroleum, and plastics and turns them into household goods. And this one should fit very well over here. So that's a pretty good fit, actually. So I can either drop it mid-block or kind of hug it. Thinking that that's, and leave a little front area that I can turn into maybe parking. I think that probably makes the most sense. So let's put in the household goods factory. I already have some parking there, so we'll figure something out to do with this little kind of scrap of leftover space. So that gives us two unique factories. We only have one current source of plastic, though, and they both require plastics. And I'm trying to supply the generic industry over here with plastics as well that I make out of a warehouse, along with petroleum. And there's not really a whole lot left. They've actually been using it over there. So I think we're going to need to add some more plastics manufacturing as well. So let's go ahead and do that. So I can use the large one like that. What else do we have? Okay, so they have a smaller size one that looks like 4,000 units versus 8,000. So this one produces double. But it also doesn't actually, it's going to overhang the street if I put it there. Could take out the street and just have them as a long kind of line. Do we actually need that road? Well, we do back here because these front on it. Yeah, interesting. We could make it a dead end. What about the smaller size, the petrochemical plant? How does that look? So actually, it's maybe more expensive when you put two of these down, but it's a more efficient use of the space because two of these are equal to one of the big one. But I could actually put three in this space. So I think we'll go ahead and we'll use the petrochemicals. We'll put down 3. So that should give us plenty of plastic. The last thing that I think we should do is I think we need some storage for oil. We only currently have one, and I don't make any oil. I import it all. So I think we'll need some more storage tanks. And I think I want a warehouse to store the plastic, because we don't have quite as much of that. So a general purpose warehouse. And probably something that we can put here at this end. So that one fits, actually. We have a big barn. Is this that one? How much does that cost? $56 a week. 80. I mean, they're all so cheap. That one does too. Only $46 a week. It would fill up the site nicely. Although maybe we want the warehousing to happen off the side street for traffic management. Kind of like the look of this one in terms of it being a modern building. Less a giant corrugated tube. I think I'm going to try this one though. Just kind of like how it fills up the space. So there we've got a place. We want a place for our plastics. I'll have to deal with that kind of section behind it. And we want some more oil storage as well. So we can use individual kind of tanks. We can use some more of these kind of tank farms. That one actually really doesn't fit very well. So we're probably talking one or two of these. Could try and shift the railroad. That's a big tank. It's probably a little bit more reasonable. How many freight trucks do they have? 4 or 8, I guess. Kind of confused as to why there's a count and then a count in brackets next to each of these. Not quite sure what that means, to be totally honest. If we did the smaller size tank, we could put 2 of these. Maybe that's the thing to do. Put in 2. Kind of mix up the look of the place too at the same time. And it doesn't mess with the railroad too much. But we could, no real reason why we couldn't raise these up. Okay. So, one of the things I do with all my industry is I like to be in control of what's happening where, and I do that with the transfer manager, which is a wonderful mod. I'm just renaming these so I can keep track of them. And so it allows you to be very specific. Actually, we'll go to the one I already have about how the building's functioning. So in this one, it is receiving oil only from the port buildings. So you have to bring it in by rail or by boat, which is something I wanted to do just from a kind of role play sort of point of view. Gameplay doesn't kind of matter if it comes in off the highway, but I wanted the oil to be shipped by ship or by rail, which is more reflective of how we move around big volumes of oil in the real world when there's not a pipeline anyway. So I've restricted it to just the port buildings, and it's outgoing restricted. So where it can ship to is just the other oil buildings, and I have that because I don't want it moving things around to other warehouses elsewhere on the map. I'm going to, now that we've added more industry, I'm going to add on that it can, oops, accidentally clicked off of it there. So outgoing, it can now send oil to the new plastics factories that we set up. And this is one of the neat things about Transfer Manager as well. I like these settings. It's preferring to get within its district. You can just copy it. Go, oops. Click on your other facility, like our big storage vat that we just put in here, and you can paste, and now it has the exact same settings, which is pretty handy if you're going to be micromanaging things to the extent I am. So there, now these 3 oil storage places, they can serve just this. They're not taking in oil and then reselling it or anything silly like that. I am going to go find our plastics warehouse out here and just make sure, because right now the only place they're getting plastics from is the main existing plant. I want to add on these 3 so they can send plastics out there to that warehouse too. This warehouse, we don't want them to export. We want it to take in plastics and store it. And we're going to select our 4 plastics plants that it can draw from. And outgoing, this building is backup for the existing industries in this. We'll do prefer within district. So I don't want them shipping plastic all over the map. This other industrial area has its own plastics warehouse. That's where I want things there to feed from. So we're going to just say prefer within district to try and make sure that there's always plastics available for our 2 new specialty factories that we've set up. And so they're not allowed to export either. So the last thing would be to set this fellow up. Well, second last thing, set up our individual factories. So where is it going to get its goods? It can get it from the plastics warehouse, directly from the plastic plants. I don't mind that in here. And from our docks. So that's where it's going to get its inputs. So that is good. Outgoing, it doesn't matter to me where they send their finished goods. Hopefully they'll send a lot locally. Just it's kind of nice to have that, but it doesn't really matter. And so the household goods factory, we're going to do the same thing. Part of the reason to do this is also so that we don't send plastics all the way over to this warehouse, and then this factory calls for plastics and the warehouse over across town sends it over to them. That's a lot of unnecessary traffic that we don't need. So I like to keep things local as much as I kind of can. So this one's taking the oil petroleum from here. Plastics. You can also get plastics from the warehouse. So that looks good. So that would appear to be all our industries. So I'm going to now set things going. We'll probably do a little bit of detailing here and see how this functions. Hopefully the port will bring in goods, mainly oil, because that's what these ones need. First to the storage. And then on into there. Oh, maybe we'll put in one more storage vat, just so that there's multiple calls from multiple facilities for oil. Because when you don't have any of your own and you're importing it, you're at the mercy of shippers. So I am going to add one more. So this is Portland's tank firm A, B, C. So this one will be D. I like to name them so that I can then, if their vehicles are out and about, I can tell exactly what they are. And we'll just adjust the elevation of this one just a little. Just enough to make it kind of fade a bit in the back without it getting too out of whack. I think if we shift it over just a little bit, that will be fine. We could even add another one back here if we want. And so we're going to give it the same settings because I don't want them transferring between warehouses. So we're going to copy this one, go over here, and paste. So now it's receiving only from the port, and it's restricted to sending to our 10 oil buildings. So now it truly is. I'm going to put a saves in probably. Now it's truly time to set this in motion for real. So I'm just going to let it run for a bit. Oh, these guys, they've received a load of plastics from one of the plants, and they're up and running. And it looks like a train or a boat, maybe. I think a train must have dropped off because we're getting oil delivered. See if this ship delivers any oil. Yeah, it is. Only 2 trucks though. I think we have more demand than just 2 trucks worth. Oh, now there's a load of oil. A lot just came in. So I think we have it all running here. There's not much oil in storage. Total of 12 barrels. Oh, did that... Oh, thankfully that train just dropped a whack off. Bunch of trucks coming in. I'm curious, actually, how our outside connections are doing. So we can see that the storage folks are getting oil. And the main thing we're importing in our region, besides oil, which we don't have any of our own, is mail. We grow most of our own stuff, and most of our own goods are made in our domestic factories. I don't have any ore or forestry yet. Eventually we'll have plans to tackle that in future. Oh, a train just dropped off. That's a lot of oil trucks. I'll be interested to see if our storage facilities fill up, because they are kind of limited by the pace of delivery here, since we don't have any of our own domestic production. You deliver it and then they get carted off. Exporting, we export some of our refined oil products. We send out some mail. We don't have any ore industry, so I don't know what that ore products is. I'm gonna guess that is our recycling plants. Same with forestry, because the recycling plants, the way they work in games, they produce some of the strategic resources. So I'm guessing that's what those tiny lines are for ore and forestry, because I don't have any, and yet I'm exporting some. So that's about all I can come up with there. It's somewhere in there, maybe, is fish. Maybe we're not exporting much in the way of fish anymore because we're refining it into finished goods. Here comes. So I think this is working pretty well. Every time a train or a ship comes in, we get a whack of oil delivered. So our oil industry is working great now. We're getting regular shipments in by rail mostly here at this port, and they're filling up all our storage bays, our storage tank farms, and we've built up a little surplus. So we got a buffer, about 250 or so barrels of oil in storage, and so no one's running out. None of our industries are, none of our factories are, so I'm going to call this a success. One other thing that I want to do, I think these efficiency buildings, I think they're very much worth it. So if you put down this kind of housing, it boosts the output of your industry buildings by 5%. So I very much use them in the farm area, and I think we should add some here in the worker area. They're kind of a weird asset, really, because they're oil industry workers' barracks, but they don't actually house anyone. It's just plopped down, and it actually adds workspaces, 40 of them, and gives you a 5% efficiency. So where we could put like a little cul-de-sac here, but I'm kind of thinking that's right next to the port. I don't know that I want to use that valuable land for these. Could aim to put a bunch, could kind of make a village of them out here alongside kind of the uplands. That might be an idea. Maybe for now, because I think I should check that actually. I think we probably are bordering on a worker shortage again because I've plopped down all this industry. Yeah, so our available jobs has crept back up to about 700, so we're going to need to build some more housing. So I think I'm going to just do a couple of these for now. I'm not going to go wild. We could expand later when we've got a little bit more workers to go around. So I think I'm just going to put some along this road coming in. What could we get? Yeah. We get 4. No, I think I'll shift them because they do look kind of odd like that. Just put a little bit of space between them. That's very drab. But you know what? They actually work okay with the elevation because they don't have doors hanging in space. Everything's based off the central courtyard. Yeah, actually pretty well-designed vanilla asset, really. Except for, of course, the vanilla trees and bushes, which I can't stand. So we're going to replace those out. Oops, I didn't actually switch that. There we go. So now they're into alders, and we will swap our bushes. I'm feeling pine scrub this time. That looks good. There. I do love Bob. It is a fantastic mod. It's a little bit of a elevation change, but well, it's all right. I could shift these back the other direction a little bit. Oops. I got hold of that one up there too. There. Now there's a little bit more room for that transition to happen. Something you could very well imagine for putting in these. There's a couple of big tank farms in my home city, kind of down our harbor, and they will cut them into the landscape as needed. So I don't mind that so much. So we got this little pocket of housing, which 4 of them, we're getting a 20% bonus to our production from that for our oil industries. So even more plastics, even more petroleum. So I think the next order of business is really we now need to go add some housing. You know, we've got all these new workspaces over here, but we haven't added more people, and we're back up into a worker kind of shortage where I'm loath to add too much more business. So I think that's what we'll do in our next episode. We'll go across the harbor to the Lavoie area that we've looked at in the past and add some housing over there. Thanks for watching, and if you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. See you next time.